Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 12 days away from its official release by Disney, Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams, and creator George Lucas that is all set and ready to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very worried about is exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to utilize all of the different aspects of this movie that connect to the prequels, the originals, and even how they are going to really utilize everything about the twists and turns, the revelations that will lead to saga-wide implications. The list really goes on here for Episode 9, and now we're only 12 days away, under 2 weeks until the release of this movie by J.J., where a lot of fans will finally be able to determine for themselves exactly how the movie really is once they see it. Now, with that being said, we do know that Disney Lucasfilm went through many different changes and adjustments throughout the months of August, September, and October of this year, which is something that I honestly really am not excited about. The fact that they made these massive adjustments for the worse, I think, is yet another problem by Disney and Lucasfilm, and that they don't really understand Star Wars. And this all has to do with Kathleen Kennedy and the character of Anakin Skywalker and actor Hayden Christensen. Now, specifically, it's explained that through many of the changes and adjustments by Disney and Lucasfilm during the months of August, September, and October, it's actually said that they made various changes to the third and second acts of the film to cater to a general audience and to provide a different tone for the film after the general audience and to provide a different tone overall, where it's explained that many of the changes were done by Kathleen Kennedy to focus more on the newer characters, and did this by sacrificing many scenes in the second and third acts of the film. Now, it's actually said that in the initial cut of the film, within the second act, there was a sequence that involved Anakin Skywalker, portrayed by Hayden Christensen, that would teach both Ben Solo and Rey an ancient lesson of the wills before they would face Palpatine together. The scene was said to be a very powerful moment for fans, and that the Anakin scene was complete before it got cut and deleted by Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. It said that Hayden Christensen delivered a key performance as the role of Anakin's Force Ghost in the second act, while also showing fans the netherworld of the Force for the very first time in history. Now, it's said that in the sequence involved a new design of Anakin Skywalker, where he appeared far older in design, as if he was in his 70s, and that this was an older version of Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost that was deleted by Kathleen Kennedy, where she proposed to J.J. Abrams that it would be better to only keep him as a Force Ghost voice at the very end of the film, a disembodied voice that would guide Rey to fight Palpatine alone on Exegol. The initial cut of the film had quite a few key scenes of Anakin before everything was cut and reduced down to just a simple Force Ghost voice, guiding Rey and becoming a part of her spirit, and that Kathleen used Anakin as a way to let Rey become the Chosen One in the current cut through the help of the Force Ghost, including Anakin Skywalker in the moment. Now, the scene in the current cut is said to be a line of dialogue provided by Hayden that was recorded only a couple of months ago, after his scenes were actually deleted and cancelled. Now, Kathleen Kennedy made the decision to reduce his presence down to only a Force Ghost voice, to mystify the fans and to keep them wondering about what the Force Ghost looked like around Rey as they help her to fight Palpatine on Exegol. Many of these scenes started in late July, where the reshoots and rewrites were being planned out by Disney and Lucasfilm, where everything started in early August, where many reshoots started taking place by J.J. Abrams and his crew to restructure the plot of the film. Along with the idea of Palpatine being a spirit was also tossed and put to the wayside by Disney, and that they also wanted Palpatine to come back in the flesh in a unique way that will surprise the fans on December 19th. Now, lastly, it's noted that the Anakin scene of him in the netherworld of the Force was deleted, also to stick with the desired new running time for the film that they were actually aiming for in the final version of the movie, to make it shorter than The Last Jedi, but also longer than The Force Awakens. The film currently sits at 142 minutes long. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the thing about The Rise of Skywalker here, and the thing that I really do disagree with Disney and Lucasfilm's decision on all these different changes and adjustments to the movie, is that they really did not need to cut Anakin Skywalker's physical form at all. There's no excuse for that in any way, shape, or form. So basically, Kathleen Kennedy did this to keep the fans mystified, to keep them wondering exactly what the Force Ghosts really look like when they're helping Rey at the very end of this movie, and that originally there was going to be an Anakin scene in which he appears in front of both Ben Solo and Rey while he's actually in the netherworld of the Force. So my problem with this is that basically their excuse for deleting Anakin or reducing him down to a Force ghost to voice specifically Kathleen Kennedy, since she is the head of Lucasfilm, who runs all things Star Wars, is that basically they wanted to mystify the character of Anakin and others in that very given moment. And it wasn't just that, it was also to pretty much, cut things down to keep with their desired running time of 142 minutes. So that's my other thing about this movie, is that 142 minutes, I don't know about you, but that seems very short for a Star Wars movie in today's day and age, where a lot of movies are typically longer when it comes to these, big blockbusters that come out. 142 minutes. By the way, that does not count the credits, alright? We also have, well, that does count the credits, I must add. You have the credits on top of that, so that's like, what, a good 10 to 12 minutes right there, easy? Maybe even more than that, who knows? So that's actually going to be, only like, give or take, maybe 119 or 120 minutes, maybe somewhere around those lines, for the Rise of Skywalker actual footage. And like I say, I think the fact that the Luke Skywalker scenes are only 10 minutes in total in this movie, and Palpatine only has 12 minutes of screen time, it's yet another thing that explains as to why Luke and Palpatine are not in the marketing of this movie. And this is exactly what happened with The Force Awakens. Now, mind you, it's not quite as intense as that was, but Luke was only in the movie for 30 seconds. And now we have a similar scenario where you do not see Palpatine at all in the marketing, and the same exact thing goes for Luke. The reason as to why is because their screen time is so small in this movie, so short, if you will, to the point where if they reveal any form of footage, they're actually going to be taking away from the overall experience that the fans will actually see in the actual movie once it releases in theaters on the 19th. So that's the thing, is that they're not really hiding Palpatine for a purpose based on his appearance, most likely. This all has to do with saving the appearances of Palpatine because of screen time. So the fact that Palpatine went from having 25 minutes to only 12 minutes is another disappointment. But the bigger disappointment here is Anakin Skywalker being deleted because Kathleen Kennedy wanted to mystify the fans and to keep them wondering exactly what the Force ghost of him actually looks like helping Rey in the background, and that they didn't really want to do the whole thing where he's actually physically there at the very end, and wanted to actually focus on the less is more concept. I don't know what the deal is with the whole less is more concept, but this is your final chance, and this was your one-way ticket to really introduce Anakin Skywalker in physical form. And my mind, I just can't really wrap myself around this as to why Disney and Lucasfilm want nothing to do with, the actual prequel trilogy continuity, at least physically on screen, such as a character like Anakin Skywalker. It seems like that they made a complete 180 with this movie. Things sounded actually pretty interesting before all the massive reshoots that we actually have been talking about for months now, and all the different changes that Disney and Lucasfilm went through. It's just very unfortunate that Disney went through these, changes and these adjustments to restructure the plot and change the tone of the movie. It's got a lot of people annoyed and down the fact that, yes, if you look at even the TV spots, I will admit, are pretty weak in comparison to The Last Jedi. Even though I did not like The Last Jedi as a film, the TV spots were stronger. At least I believe. I think that the teaser trailer of Episode 9 was strong. The final trailer of The Rise of Skywalker was poor, in my opinion. But some of the actual featurettes that we have been getting, not too great. Some of the TV spots, not too great. It really seems like that it's all primarily and only focused on the Resistance. They're not focusing too much on, shots of Rey and Kylo Ren material, which I think they should be focusing on more, because a lot of fans want to see, the whole mythology side of Star Wars a bit more this time around for the final film of the sequel trilogy and of the Skywalker saga of all things. And once again, this could also tie into directly how this movie's only 142 minutes long. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.